Is Destiny 2 The Final Shape being delayed? Not currently, but it probably will be. Welcome to today's video, which will either age very well or incredibly poorly, depending on what happens in the next few months. Not too long ago, it was reported by Jason Schreier at Bloomberg that Bungie had been discussing delaying both the Final Shape expansion for Destiny 2 and their new upcoming extraction shooter game, Marathon. Bungie has kept quiet on this topic and has avoided mentioning delays for the Final Shape or Marathon, even in their post addressing the layoffs, in which they fired legendary composer Michael Salvatore and 99 other employees after the company missed revenue targets by 45%. On the 14th of November, Bungie published a press release, and in it, they appeared to be sticking to their original plans to launch the Final Shape expansion on February 27th, 2024. So that's it, right? No delays, no extra long season, and somehow after having less manpower, the Final Shape is going to live up to the standards set by Forsaken. Yeah, not quite. And that's not me being pessimistic. Forsaken was so good because it was developed in collaboration with two other studios. High Moon Studios developed a large portion of the Tangled Shore and the Forsaken campaign, while Vicarious Visions spearheaded the development of the PC version of the game and helped to create the Warmind DLC. Both studios almost certainly played a role in other aspects of the game, and because of the extra roughly 400 employees, what we got is, in my opinion, the highest quality expansion so far. So while it's great that Bungie aspires to make another expansion on the level of Forsaken, as they should, 650 people working on the game today simply cannot produce the same results as 1,000 plus employees working on it in the same time frame. I'm no expert on game development, but it just ain't adding up. I can't speak a whole lot on Bungie's current financial situation, but it is looking a bit rough. Internal emails leaked from Microsoft show that they were considering acquiring Bungie in 2020, and in these emails they identified Bungie as having a, quote, high burn rate risk, meaning that Bungie is very likely to bleed money. If the recent events are anything to go by, it doesn't look like they can afford to release another Lightfall, and after laying off 100 employees, which is bound to require some portion of the company to adapt at least a little, from where I'm sitting, it's extremely likely that delaying the Final Shape is really their only option. And despite Bungie giving everyone the impression that there won't be a delay, it looks like Schreier, who, by the way, has a fantastic track record in regards to details on Bungie, seems to agree. In a reply to Destiny Tracker's tweet addressing Bungie's press release about the Final Shape still launching this February, Jason simply wrote, "Don't get your hopes up." And I can see why. Delays are nothing new to Destiny. Shadowkeep was delayed a month in 2019, Beyond Light was delayed 2 months in 2020, and Witch Queen was delayed 4 months in 2021/22. It seems it's only a matter of when, not if, the expansion is getting delayed, and I find it very probable that Bungie is currently deciding on a new release date as we speak. There's a pretty good chance they already have a new date in mind, similar to the leaks placing the expansion 4 months later in summer 2024, but just haven't been able to lock it in yet. I can only assume a delay announcement is on the horizon because the Final Shape's original release date is only just over 3 months away. While I fully trust the implications of Schreier's tweet here, I also have to point to the recent news around Sony delaying half of their planned live service games as having a possible connection with Destiny 2. Sony had planned to launch a nauseating 12 new live service games by March 2026, but it looks like only 6 of those will be given the chance to meet that deadline. If Sony is re-evaluating their other live service releases, they're almost certainly talking to Bungie about the Final Shape. If the studio is burning a hole in Sony's pocket without much to show for it, it's fair to assume they don't want to see Bungie deliver an underwhelming DLC. I think a delay of 4 to 6 months is the right call. Will it be hard on the game in the interim? Absolutely. Bungie's going to have to cobble together some sort of paid DLC or free update to keep the player count from falling off a cliff, especially once some new games and DLC start to release early next year. And there's a ton of easy W's for Bungie to scoop up and bring players back during this extended season. From unvaulting old content like past raids, dungeons, and matchmade activities, to reprising loot like the Black Armory weapons, or even adding Destiny 1 strikes and Crucible maps for free. Hell, I think bringing back SRL could probably keep the game alive longer than relying on recycled Grandmaster Nightfalls and the same Dawning event for the 20th time, because if that's their current plan, it is not going to be pretty. If they go ahead and delay the expansion, they at least have the chance to make it great and not end the journey on such a low note. And this is maybe a hot take, but I'm not even terribly bothered if they don't deliver the most perfectly satisfying ending to the story. Maybe it's because I'm not invested in the story as much as I was back in Forsaken, but I care way more about walking away from the Final Shape having gotten my fill of fun gameplay. The value for me comes from the vibe that The Taken King and Forsaken accomplished so well, which was making me feel like I'm experiencing a whole new game and uncovering a new side of Destiny I haven't seen before. I care that the expansion delivers fun activities to grind, secrets to find, and amazing loot. Don't get me wrong, it would be great if it had an enthralling narrative to go along with it. I mean, half of the appeal of The Taken King was that we killed this dude's son, and now that dude showed up to our home and is gonna fuck our shit up. But providing a satisfying conclusion to anything is pretty difficult. Once you get started on something, it can be incredibly hard to end things in a satisfying and graceful way. Just ask George R.R. Martin. And while many stories have started and been resolved in Destiny, everything has pretty much led up to this moment. I struggle to find a good way to end a 10-minute YouTube video, let alone a 10-year saga. So yes, I want the story to be good, but the odds of everyone being satisfied with it are not great, especially with so many currently unanswered questions. But I'll be honest with you, that could be easily shrugged off by a lot of people, provided we get an expansion that tries to do something new. The biggest reason why my interest in Destiny 2 has died is because Bungie shifted away from innovating to producing an endless stream of mind-numbing content that ends up just serving as the background to you and your friends lamenting about the wasted potential of the game for the 300th time. The seasons are the worst offenders for sure, but the past few expansions haven't strayed very far from Bungie's formula either. I've been waiting for the game to take that next step in delivering a truly new experience that you can only have in Destiny, but instead it's become unbearably predictable. That's not to say it was all bad, and there's definitely been some high points in the last few years, specifically with the Witch Queen Legendary campaign for me, but those are just my overall feelings on the direction of the game. So if the expansion as it currently stands isn't enough to blow away those of us who've been playing the game for 9 years, then delay the game 4 months. If it still needs work, delay it 6 months. I'm perfectly fine waiting, and there are plenty of other games to keep me busy. I just want it to be worth the wait. I think there's been more than enough evidence at this point that Bungie's current Destiny model isn't working, and that they really need to focus on making high quality content that releases less often. I really don't think that their plan with episodes is going to make that much of a difference, since they're still going to have to deliver 3 big content updates each year on top of any big expansions they're planning on, and so I'd much rather them work on areas of the game that need love, and how about just releasing new stuff when it's ready? But hey, I don't know what it's like to run a studio of 1,100 people and develop content for a massive video game. I just know what I like and what I don't. And I must not be alone because the game just hit its lowest average player count ever on Steam. So yeah, things are looking pretty grim, but hopefully they can turn it around. I'm really rooting for them. My name's Ethan, drop me a like if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon.